Stocks, bonds, ETFs, straight out of downtown Chicago. This is Zach's Market Edge.
Welcome to Zach's Market Edge, the podcast about investing in your life. I'm your host, Tracy Reinick, and this week I'm joined by someone new, Zach's associate stock strategist, Dan LeBeau. He's on the podcast for the first time, and he's a first-time podcaster. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, he's just joined us here at Zach's, and he's a millennial, I believe, right?
We're on the edge of Generation
You're right at the
Z
edge.
and
Okay.
yeah.
And it's kind of become a Zach's ritual here on the podcast, actually, for anyone who's new in our offices to basically come on the podcast, usually for the first time. So that's exciting. And talk about things, kind of all things millennial for some reason. Although probably this summer with the new Zach summer interns that are coming in, I usually have the interns on the show at some point too, that a lot of them are going to be Gen Zs now. I think that's a given. I was reading this Bloomberg article that I just got from the Bloomberg Business Week, great magazine, and it was all about Generation Z and about them being consumers, not just U.S. Generation Z, but the Chinese and basically Generation Z from around the globe. And they had a couple pictures in there, and then they listed the ages just to give us an idea of who Generation Z is. And they were doing it up to age 22 was Gen Z. So anyone 23, 24 now is the very youngest age of millennials. And the oldest, just as a reminder, I always tweet this out at people too, because people get kind of used to like the millennial thing and thinking they're like all 25. But the oldest millennials this year are 38. So the 40 is creeping up on some of the millennials, not so much newbies out of college anymore with those ones. So, but you're on the younger side. And I thought that was interesting. We've covered it a couple times, like on the younger side, what their view of investing is. But when you're on the younger side of the millennials, you did not live through the Great Recession as an investor. And then you have been living through this great bull market run, and you've been living through the era of having, these super easy to use apps. Now, I'm a Gen Xer, and I was of the era where you had to use the old-fashioned broker if you wanted to buy stocks, and you had to buy in like groups of like 50, 75, 100 shares. You can just buy a couple shares. But then in the late 1990s, that's when we first got the first online brokerage companies like E-Trade. And that was a whole revolution for Gen Xers. And I feel like that sent Gen Xers down a good path for investing. And we're going to discuss today whether or not that's kind of doing like the Robinhood app and some of the others are doing that for the millennial generation. I feel like it is. And then I'm curious as to what the younger millennials are buying, either trading or investing, and what kind of stocks are of interest, because I feel like it could be like a narrow band, but maybe I'm wrong. So let's discuss this. Let's discuss the Robinhood thing first. You were on Robinhood, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And did that start in college then, or?
So yeah, I started trading Robinhood when I was about a senior in college, when I think it just started coming out and becoming a big deal. And I was actually really apprehensive at first, free trading, like it seems a little bit too good to be true.
Yeah.
But all my friends were getting into it, and I saw the legitimacy of it. I saw them actually pulling money out of it, and
Yeah.
that's the first sign of a legitimate platform. But I think the idea of Robinhood being a free trading platform and allowing people to trade low volumes is helping the millennial generation get into investing. Like you said before, we had to have brokers in the past, and we had to be trading large volumes. So millennials didn't have enough money to get into investing, so they weren't really interested in the markets as much as they are today, I think.
Yeah. So could you literally do, or were you and your friends doing like $20 or $40? You're nodding. Yeah.
You could literally buy one share of like a $3 stock if you wanted to.
Okay, cool. Because this reminds me a little bit of some of the services that did spring into effect in the late 1990s. addition to E-Trade, there was this thing called Share Builder that also let you could do $20, but it was like every month. You weren't really like trading it per se, but you could do basically any amount and it would buy like one share for you if you wanted, or whatever was in the $30. It would actually buy like 1.5 or whatever. But we had to pay fees. So it was a little bit different. So you were a little bit discouraged from doing only the $30, but you could do like $100 a month and it does add up.
Yeah, see, it's funny. So with Robinhood, right? There's no fees per se,
Right.
but it's not technically free. So
Okay.
what Robinhood does is they take your orders and they reroute it and sell these orders to market makers. So they're filling you at a little bit higher price, just so
Okay.
these market makers can make a little bit of, a spread on each of these transactions. So it makes sense for millennials who aren't trading a lot of volume, say like 10 shares of something, it's going to end up being like maybe upwards of $1 that we're losing.
Okay.
But if we're trading thousands of shares, it ends up being a lot more
Right.
than we really should be spending. So if we were spending a lot more and buying a lot more shares, we want to use a broker like E-Trade or
TD Ameritrade or one of those.
Exactly.
Okay. How do they do taxes on Robinhood? I've always wondered about this. Do they send you a tax form, or they must?
Yeah, they do. I actually have never filed taxes with them before.
Oh my gosh, they do. Danny's nodding over here, my producer. Okay, so they send you the tax form.
They do send you the tax form.
Okay.
You're supposed to file it through TurboTax, whatever tax
Yeah.
service you use. But I don't think I made enough for IRS to really care.
Okay.
I don't think they care about a couple $100 gains. But
Well, that's the interesting thing, though. You start at these small amounts because you don't have that much money to invest. And we hear these stories all the time. Oh, the millennials, they're in debt. They're living in the big cities. It's expensive. They don't have any time to do any of these things or money to do, to save or to invest. But that doesn't sound to be like true.
Well, yeah,
as long as it's small amounts.
Yeah, to an extent. That's what I'm saying. So we like to see, we love the FANG stocks, but we only love a couple of them, right?
Okay.
Millennials don't buy as much Google and Amazon.
Okay, that was my next question. Yeah, like, what are you buying on there?
Because of the price. Because, Amazon, what is that? That's $2,000 a share.
Yeah.
That could be half of our portfolio if we only have, $4,000 in there. I think the average portfolio size on Robinhood is about 5,000, maybe a little bit less than that.
That's more than I would have thought. Okay.
But yeah.
So it'd be kind of boring to buy like one share of Amazon.
Yeah, that's like your entire portfolio.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, we're definitely buying. I think Apple. I've seen the most. I think every single person on Robinhood has Apple in some way or another.
Okay. And is that because you use the product?
Yeah. Everybody has an iPhone. Everybody thinks the stock's going to do nothing but go up.
Okay.
Maybe on some false pretenses, but millennials like to invest in what they consume. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's true of most investors, but there's so many big consumer names that you guys are familiar with. So how does that translate to like the Facebook and Snap of the world, like those types of social media? I know that most millennials aren't really even on Facebook, but you are on Instagram and they own Instagram.
Exactly. I don't know how many, millennials know that Facebook own Instagram.
I don't know either.
But
maybe not many.
Yeah, no. I mean, people are still investing in Facebook. And I mean, Facebook is still seeing substantial growth, even though we're not using it on a day-to-day basis internationally. This stock is still continuing to grow. I mean, we saw year over year, monthly average users up 8% just this quarter, which is unbelievable because we thought maybe like they hit their peak, they hit their plateau, and they've already have 74% of total people with internet access around the world.
Okay. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Maybe there's like Indian millennials who are buying the Facebook stock.
Yeah, that's what
over
I'm thinking.
in India. I'm not sure if it trades over there.
It's going to be a growing brand there, but
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So Snap, you didn't answer that one. Does anyone, are you buying the stock of Snap? Because do you use it? Does anyone use it of your age?
Millennials Snapchat's more of a Gen Z thing.
Yeah,
now,
I would think so.
I think the average age is like below 20, I want to say.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't like the platform. I don't like the way it's set up. They shoot advertisements at you. It's not seamless like the way Facebook and Instagram does it, where you don't even know you're scrolling through an advertisement. So with Snapchat, I don't have a lot of confidence in it, but it's up 100% this year so far.
Well, right.
So
Someone
it's
does.
yeah,
But it
so
was
someone
really
wants
down
it.
in the dumps.
Yeah,
So
no, I
that's
think
not surprising.
I think since the IPO, it's been down 60%
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
But the daily active users have decreased, but they're making more money on every user.
Right.
So
They are
I
now.
mean,
We'll see.
it's pushing some profits.
What about Twitter? Do millennials use Twitter or invest in Twitter? Where does
think-
that stand?
I think Twitter is, I don't know. I almost feel like it's growing a little bit more because of Trump and
Yeah,
Elon
for
Musk and
sure.
all these influencers
You want to
using
go
it.
on there. Yeah. You want to see what they say.
People want to know what's going on and what our president's thinking.
Yeah.
So I think there could be some potential there if influencers continue to use it. But I think one of the big concerns was, the health of the actual platform, because there's been a lot of, abuse, I guess you could say,
For sure.
beyond bullying and stuff like that actually have material effects outside of the platform. But
Yeah.
I guess the management's focusing on cutting that out. They have a
do.
AVGO right now that goes through and cuts out all of the abusive content. And I guess it's has some positive effects on the platform itself.
Do you and your friends invest in any stocks solely because of the CEO, like an Elon Musk? Like, I love him, I'm buying Tesla, or even Jack Dorsey with Twitter or Square?
Yeah. I mean, I know people definitely do invest in Tesla just because of Elon Musk.
Okay, interesting.
I am not one of those people. I feel like my friends aren't necessarily one of those people. I have bought Tesla before based off of, technical levels. It's been very, very cyclical, jumping.
You've been trading it. In other words,
it's been jumping from 250 up to north of 300, and it's done this for the last 6 months, like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Okay, so the CEO can matter.
It definitely can.
Okay. A lot of these are like the tech, social media. Is there any other of the big name brands that you guys like to buy? Like, I'm thinking Canada Goose, for instance, if you're all wearing those jackets now, or Lululemon.
I was going to say, Lululemon. I think a lot of us are buying. I mean, everybody at the gym, you go to the gym, you see pretty much 80% of the people wearing some kind of Lululemon attire.
Even the guys?
Even the guys.
Okay, I'm glad you're on here saying this, because I take a lot of heat on StockTwits whenever I talk about Lululemon, which I do now own. I did buy some shares because I finally said, this is dumb. I love it. I'm just going to buy some. And I take a lot of heat because a lot of the guys on there are like, oh, it's only for women. What guy is wearing this? And it's a huge part of their business now. There's plenty of guys wearing it.
I almost feel like it's half of their revenue base, or close to it at this point.
And I know,
it's interesting. Like back in high school, for example, like people were ostracized for wearing Lululemon if you were a guy. Like, oh yeah, this guy's.
That was pretty many years ago now.
Yeah, I guess
things have changed.
that was about probably 7 or 8 years ago.
Right.
But over the course of time, they've really grown their men's brands.
Now, why is it popular for guys?
I guess just the fact that it's so comfortable,
Okay.
and it has that athleisure, style factor that I think that a lot of millennials are into.
Now, you're not worried about the price at all? Because I get asked this question all the time about Lulu, and it's so expensive.
The price is worth it.
Okay, because this is what I've heard from everyone.
These products just they don't get overused. I mean, they don't run down.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen any Lululemon product rip, tear, have any holes, and if they do, that you can take it back to Lulu and get a brand new product. I actually did this once. So my zipper was screwed up on one of my jackets, and this was like $100 rain jacket. I went in there and showed it to him, like, oh, we don't have this product anymore, but go ahead, go over to the coat shelf and pick out any coat you want. So I picked out like a $350 jacket for the price of, the $100 jacket I bought a year and a half ago.
Okay.
So they're very good at,
We shouldn't spread this story as a shareholder.
I know, right?
But this is the good customer service. Like, Apple used to be known for that. If anything went wrong with your desktop, laptop, anything, and you just took it back to the store, they'd be like, meh, here's a new one, just go use this. And that was like revolutionary at the time because no one else was doing that. So it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, they even used to do that with broken screens, I remember. Like
Yeah.
the first couple broken iPhone screens, they used to take it in there.
Exactly.
But, that's not a sustainable thing because there's too many broken screens out
Well,
there.
yeah, they pulled back a little bit on like what they'll do now, but it's still good customer service overall. And the brand is enhanced by that.
Mhm.
Well, this is good to know because I know that my producer, Danny, also shops at Lululemon and he likes the shirts over there. So now there's like several guys in here. So that kind of reaffirms their strategy because they just had an annual investor day and they were talking about really pushing on the men's side now. So this is good to know. This is all anecdotal talking that we're doing here. But still some good info for those of you looking around there for some investment ideas. So, okay. So big brands are popular for the millennial stock buyers. What about anything else? Like I can't think of, what about like some of these big unicorns that are coming public? Are the millennials, because guys would be using some of these things, like, are you going to buy Uber? Are you interested in Airbnb when that goes? What about like, I don't know, what else is gone? Pinterest,
Lyft just went.
Lyft.
So, I mean, I think we're going to get some kind of traction with these companies, but we're not idiots as millennials. And
You're not just buying anything.
We're not just buying anything, and
does it have to have profit? Does it have to make money for you guys
not necessarily.
to buy?
No, it doesn't have to have profit, but we have to see profit in the future, and we have to actually want to use this product sustainably.
Okay.
And see it as a growing,
enterprise.
Growing enterprise. And I was gonna point out Lyft. We as millennials aren't gonna buy Lyft because we see it. We can see how much we're being charged on the ride, and we sometimes ask the driver, "How much are you making on this ride?" And it's always more.
Okay.
So it baffles me how they think they can ever make money without raising the price and
This is what I've said.
unrealistic amount. And, that's just going to lose market share. But I think it's going to end up being predatory pricing between Lyft, Uber, and whatever other ride sharing company there is out there. And I think one of them's going to fail.
Okay.
If not more than one.
All right. Well, that's something we're going to be looking at for sure. Because I'm not sure how they're ever going to make money either.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
Okay. What about your parents' types of stocks? Let's just call them that. Like Cisco, Microsoft, the old tech names, Intel. Where do those fit in? Does anyone care? Do they invest in those at all?
Yeah, no. I mean, Microsoft is still a product we use today. I mean, think about the Xbox. That's a Microsoft product.
It is.
A lot of millennials are still using the Xbox.
Okay.
I think we're aware of all of the cloud computing that Microsoft is up to nowadays.
Yeah.
And we understand that this is a growing enterprise, especially with big data being a centerpiece to, any business today. I mean, you're going to have to use big data and analyze big data if you want to be competitive in any kind of, landscape.
Yeah.
But
does it scare you at all that you and all of your friends seem to be invested in the same exact stocks? I don't know. Suddenly I'm like, this might not be good going into the future. I mean, we did have the 20% pullback, in December 2018, through December, I should say. And that was pretty brutal. And a lot of these same these popular names all did sell off at the same time.
Yeah. And, these big companies, they're going to have the biggest moves down and the biggest moves up.
Okay.
And that's the concern, I think, with a lot of investors nowadays is that the beta for these things is just too high.
Yeah.
But, I mean, me personally, I don't really invest in FANG.
Okay.
I look more towards, sustainable growth companies that not everybody's looking at. I was looking a lot into semiconductors. I just recently bought Broadcom, AVGO.
Okay. Yeah.
I bought them, actually it wasn't that recently. It was I think it was at the end of last summer when they acquired CA Technologies. I bought it off because the stock plummeted once they bought CA Technologies. Investors didn't see any synergies between them. And I thought that the company, CA Technologies, was going to broaden the customer base and allow Broadcom to connect with more customers at the same time as, leveraging a business technology company like CA Technologies. But
okay. Where do you guys get all your information? Like, do do you send messages to each other? Do you get it off of the Robinhood app? Do you read the Wall Street Journal? Like, where does it come?
There's a couple things. There's this thing called I think it's StockTwits.
Yeah, StockTwits.
StockTwits. A lot of millennials using that
Okay.
and just trying to get market sentiment with that. And I don't necessarily agree with everything that's on there.
No.
Because people are just trying to push their stock a lot of the times. They're just trying to make
What?
people.
Who would do that?
Yeah, right.
As I laugh. I get accused of this all the time. Tracy, you're just pumping this. And I'm like, I have no position, people. I will reveal like when I own something, and I don't even own this one, but I still get accused of it. But anyways, continue.
Yeah, no, I think people are a little bit weary. Me personally, I'm a little bit weary about some of the stuff they say, but I think there's definitely some good information there, especially some of the technical knowledge that people bring to the table.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because they have a couple million people on the platform now, I think. It's like 2 million, 1 million, 2 million, something like that.
I'm not sure what the user
It's pretty
base is,
big.
but
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
For that small universe of, hey, I care about stocks and I want to talk about them all the time.
Yeah.
It is bigger than what you might think. So, okay, that's good to know. Okay, so a lot of information just coming off the internet. And what about like the old style? We talked a little bit about old style tech, but just the old style companies in general. Is anyone buying, manufacturing, banks, like Visa, MasterCard, or would it only be like PayPal or something like that?
I mean, I know a lot of people, a lot of my buddies last year, I think it was over the summer when the Fed was talking very hawkish, we were buying banks up.
Okay.
Like JP Morgan,
So you will play the trends then.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
play the trends. We'll buy JP Morgan, Bank of America, even smaller companies like Comerica. But I've sold out of all my bank positions off of, the dovish Fed talk that started in December.
What do you
banks
guys
underperformed.
Okay. What do you guys think about like some of the financial gurus that are out there? Does anyone of your friends, do any of you follow like what Warren Buffett is doing, or I don't know, some of the big hedge fund managers? Does anyone care what goes on with that?
Honestly, no.
No?
I don't think
Okay.
anybody really follows that. I mean,
Okay.
we've all heard of the Buffett trade, where whatever
Yeah.
Buffett buys, it jumps up, whatever amount of percentages after that. But no, I think we're a little bit past that at this point.
Okay.
Hedge funds and big traders are a dying breed nowadays for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely
And
scarce now.
Warren Buffett lost an unbelievable amount of money, not only with Kraft Heinz, but I think overall in 2018, that was just one of his biggest losing years.
Yeah. Well, we're going to find out because they're having their annual meeting this weekend.
Are they?
So, yeah, he's
Okay.
going to hear about it from his shareholders.
Okay. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, so we'll see. Okay, so yeah, this is interesting. We're covering a lot of ground here. Can't think of anything else that I might be asking about the young millennials. Oh, how about this? Do you guys care if you're investing in like an IRA? Like I know Robinhood was thinking about starting an IRA that you could have on the app. I'm not sure if they've launched that yet. They were thinking about it, I think. But I think you can get it on some of the other apps like the Acorn, or there's a couple of other ones that are out there that are the low cost ones. Is that a thing for the younger millennials, or is it just like, no, I'm just getting started and I have the school loans and all this other stuff and I don't want to deal with that?
I would say all my friends are investing for retirement right now. Whether it's an IRA, yeah.
Oh,
honestly,
I'm surprised.
a lot of them are just using the 401ks that the company matches.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of companies do the 4% match.
Okay, good.
50% of the whatever of the match.
Yeah. Now, what's the impetus for that? Just because you've always heard like we need to be doing this, we should be doing this?
Well,
or?
it's the match.
Okay.
I think the match,
the
people
free
think,
money.
Yeah, they think that they're losing out of money if they don't do it.
Okay, good.
And I mean, people think about this. You can use your 401k to put a down payment on a house. I think a lot of people are using that nowadays as a down payment, and people are leveraging it.
Okay.
And investing more into it.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay, good. Good to know. I don't cover a lot of financial, like personal finance on the show, but occasionally I like to delve into a little bit about like what's going on there with retirement and everything else. All right. So basically we've concluded you and your friends here, at least in Chicago, are buying a lot of the tech stocks, the branded stocks, not these other kind of old time stocks, those are kind of off the radar, but that's okay because we all start with the popular ones. That's how it is.
Yeah, no, it's always the start. I mean, a lot of the kids that I know that actually do investing and go a little bit further into the trading deal with oil a lot.
Okay.
A lot of my buddies have been it's stupid. I don't know why they're doing this. They buy out leveraged oil when they think it's underpriced, then sell it out.
Wow.
A couple of my buddies were doing it right before oil production releases. Like what is it, every other Wednesday or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, that's a little more
lose
advanced.
enormous amounts of money and gain. It was literally just betting. It was effectively just flipping a coin. But
well, speaking of coins, what about Bitcoin? I didn't ask about that.
Oh yeah,
what's happening with millennials on that?
That was a huge trend, and you just hoped you got in before everybody else did. I was lucky. I got in right before it took off. I bought a couple coins of Ether.
Okay.
And I also got lucky, and I sold it at the right time.
Wow.
It was so funny because I just needed the money. I wasn't actually like confident it was going to go down. I just needed the money. I think I sold it at about 1,000. I bought it at about 300. So I made a pretty good profit there. But I know a lot of people that bought it on the highs.
Okay.
They're like,
do they still own it?
Yeah, they still own it. Everybody still owns it.
But it's rebounded.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's up to what, like 5,000.
Yeah,
something?
I mean, it's not back to 20 or anything.
But I had some buddies that put a couple grand in when it was like 16, 17,000. I just shook my head. I'm like, man, you really think it's gonna go up to 50? Like, if this isn't utilized in any way, like it's a meaningless, currency.
Okay, so they haven't totally turned their backs on it.
They haven't. I just think they're just chalked up at this point. They're just gonna ride it out and see what happens.
But nobody's buying anything new in it. It doesn't sound like.
I actually did just have a buddy buy Dog, DOGE.
Oh,
based off of something that Elon Musk said the other day.
Him again.
Yeah, right. And I feel like Elon Musk just had a bunch of dog coins, and he just wanted to inflate the price temporarily just so he could sell out.
Right.
But
don't tell the SEC. Wait, do they even regulate that? I'm not sure.
I don't.
They might not.
I don't think they do.
I guess it's okay.
Yeah, you probably could manipulate that price.
Okay, so that's interesting. All right, so we've covered, I think, all the investing areas. Can you think of anything else that I don't know? I don't know. Is there anything else I should know about the young millennials?
I mean, we're not just investing in tech stocks. Like, pretty much everybody that I know has an ETF, like an overall market cover.
We didn't
ETF.
cover those. Yeah.
Like we're looking at IVV and VOO. Those are the two biggest ones that all my friends are in. Like, I feel like
that's
like 50% of their portfolio a lot of the times is allocated to those, and then they have 50% of just play money where they'll bounce around different stocks.
Is anyone in bonds at all? No
one's in bonds. I mean, interest
I
rates are so
don't know
low
why you
right
would
now.
be. Yeah.
I have some buddies that are in CDs, but I'm just baffled by it. Like, interest rates are so low, man. Like, what are you doing? Like, the market's still on the rise.
Okay.
But
and what do you think of this bull rally in general? Are you and your friends into it? Are you nervous about it? Do you think it's going to come to an end soon, or what's the story?
I mean, I think it's eventually going to come to an end here. It's just a matter of time. I mean, I feel like investors have been saying this for the last, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Oh, we're at the end of the rally. But I personally don't think we're going to see a big downturn like we did in 2000 or 1999, the dot-com bubble bust. And then I don't think we're going to see the same thing we did there or the 2008 drop. I think it's going to be more of a maybe steady decline to flat, slow growth.
Do valuations on any of these companies concern you or your friends when you buy? Like, are you like, oh, I shouldn't buy Facebook, it's trading at 30 times?
The ones that know about stocks will look at valuations.
Okay. Everyone else doesn't
Everyone
care.
else is just going to jump into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So do people buy Netflix? We didn't talk about the N.
Yeah.
In FANG.
Yeah.
Is that a popular
Netflix.
one? Because that's not cheap, that one.
Yeah. What is it? It's like 200 something.
Yeah.
300 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think people are still buying Netflix. It's definitely been booming this year so far. I'm a little bit hesitant to jump into it anytime soon just because of Disney Plus coming out with their platform. And I think they're going to take a huge amount of market share from them, considering that they're offering it at $6.99 compared to Netflix is $12.99.
Yeah.
And they're going to be pulling a lot of content off of Netflix for this move. So it's going to be interesting to see the battle there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been interesting. It was good for your first inaugural podcast here at Zacks. I'm sure you'll be doing more. I will have Dan on again because he's just sitting here in our office. We can just get him down here into the studio to talk about all things stocks. So let's recap some of the stocks we talked about here. So we had Amazon and Google, AMZN. Google is GOOGL. And those they're not buying, by the way, because they're just too pricey. Then Apple, AAPL. Facebook is FB. Snapchat is Snap. I think it's actually Snap is the name of the company. I always just call it Snapchat, though. But Snap is Snap, SNAP. Twitter, TWTR. Tesla is TSLA. Lululemon is LULU. Then Microsoft, MSFT. Broadcom, what is the Broadcom ticker?
AVGO.
AVGO. That's the weird one because they used to be AVGO. That's right. And then a couple of ETFs they like, VOO and IVV are some of those that are mentioned. So that's a lot of investing ideas. Of course, most of them are the ones we all know, but they are the ones that are working right now. So you want to be sure to tune in every week here at the Market Edge to get all of our podcasts, because I'm always bringing you what's going on out in the market and bringing on millennials. And soon this summer, the Generation Zs will be on to give us their insight. I'm going to really find out if they're all using the Robinhood and what they're doing and what they're buying, which should be interesting to find out. So don't miss a single episode. Get us on Apple Podcasts. You can get us on Spotify. There's not many of you on Spotify yet. I feel like we're a little hard to find over there, but Zach's Market Edge, or maybe they put it under my name, Tracy Reineck's Market Edge, I think it is. Danny's nodding. So yeah, it's under my name, Tracy Reineck's Market Edge on Spotify, or you can get us on SoundCloud, where you also get the Value Investor podcast. So 2 podcasts for 1 over on SoundCloud, but be sure to get us because I'll be back again next week with some more stocks.
This material is being provided for informational purposes only, and nothing herein constitutes investment, legal, accounting, or tax advice, or a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold a security. Do not act or rely upon the information and advice given in this podcast without seeking the services of competent and professional legal, tax, or accounting counsel. Publication and distribution of this podcast is not intended to create, and the information contained herein does not constitute an attorney-client relationship. No recommendation or advice is being given as to whether any investment or strategy is suitable for a particular investor. It should not be assumed that any investments in securities, companies, sectors, or markets identified and described were or will be profitable. All information is current as of the date herein and is subject to change without notice. Any views or opinions expressed may not reflect those of Zacks Investment Research as a whole.